Okay. Okay. Chris Weisling, it's so wonderful to get to meet you and to have a little bit of a conversation as we step into this interview for the Golden Wisdom of Love, Legends, and Legacies. So what's the name of your chapter?
Well, I wrote a story about my uncle, and he was pretty much the only uncle I really ever was around. And so my sister and I always just called him Uncle. His name was John Hubert Bowman. He was born in 1912, and went by Hubert because he didn't like being called John. And my mother was 12 years younger than he was, and he kind of always spoiled her. But he was born in Dexter, Chaves County, New Mexico, and was raised about the first 10 years of his life on ranches in western New Mexico and eastern Arizona. When he was about 10, the family moved to Glendale, Arizona, where Uncle went to high school, and that's where my mother was born. And when Uncle was a junior in high school, he thought he had learned everything that he needed to know about the world, and so he dropped out of high school. And
We're so smart at that age, aren't we?
Yeah, we think we're 10 feet tall and bulletproof too, but soon realized that he didn't know everything he needed to know, and so at 19 went back in and finished his high school diploma. And so he then went into the U.S. Army and was a radio operator. And when enlisted, he was had the rank of staff sergeant when his enlistment was up. And by then, the family had moved to Clifton, Arizona, which is the county seat for Greeley County. So Uncle went there, and he took a position with the copper mine in Morenci with Phelps Dodge Corporation, and he became a journeyman electrician. And then World War II came along, and so was exempt from the draft because of being a journeyman electrician for a copper mine that was essential for the war effort. But he had an agreement with his best friend, Fergie Ferguson, that if one of them got drafted, the other volunteer. And of course, Fergie got drafted. So Uncle volunteered to re-enlist, and because of his prior experience, he went back in as staff sergeant. And both Uncle and Fergie landed on Omaha Beach on a and then they hooked up with they were assigned to Patton's 3rd Armored Division. And during the Battle of the Bulge, Uncle earned the Bronze Star for valor.
Wow. Amazing human beings, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And what he did was his company came under heavy shelling from Nazi 88 millimeter guns, and stayed on the radio despite all the shells exploding around him, and redirected the American fire until it knocked out the guns, Germans. And amazingly, I didn't put this in the story because I didn't have enough room, but amazingly, Fergie and Uncle both, they landed on Omaha Beach. I think Fergie went on the 2nd wave, and Uncle went in on the 23rd wave. Either one of them were injured or wounded during the entire war.
Wow.
And they went through the entire war, and then Uncle was in Germany with the occupation forces for a couple of years before he actually got home. And as the war was winding down and they entered Germany, Uncle and his company were among U.S. troops that liberated Buchenwald's concentration camp. And Uncle didn't talk a lot about the war, and you find that combat veterans really don't talk that much about what they experienced in combat.
No, it's probably too painful.
Yeah, but he had photographs that he took of Buchenwald and the horrors that he saw there. They said it all.
Wow. Wow. You know, it's an honor that you would write about him and honor him in this way, because these people were such pioneers, and I think our society today, we're so far removed from those really, really difficult times that there's still difficult times, but it's very different than what it was in those days.
Yeah, it was. And when he returned home from the war, my family was still living in Clifton, and my mom had graduated from high school and she had gone to nurses training, but found out that wasn't for her, and so she went back to Clifton and had been working in the bank in Clifton until Uncle came home, because he was going to send her to college. And so when he came home from World War II, he was elected as the clerk of the Superior Court for Greeley County.
Wow.
And my mom went to Arizona State College at the time, and by the time she graduated, it was Arizona State University. That's where she met my dad. He was a pilot that just been discharged from the Army Air Corps, and he was to ASU on the GI Bill. And again, I didn't have room to put this in the story. But kind of a funny thing is that how my parents met was my dad was playing intramural football, and one of my mother's friends from Clifton accidentally kicked him in the head, and he ended up in the infirmary with a concussion. And my mother's roommate said, "Hey, you want to go up to the infirmary and meet this cute guy that got hurt playing intramural football?" And that's how they met. And then my was his best man, but he was also, since they got married in Greeley County, he issued the marriage certificate, because that's what the clerk of the Superior Court, one of their functions,
what that does.
That he would say, "I was taken advantage of. They kicked me in the head and they got me while I was dizzy, and then it was all a setup." We were married for 58 years
Wow.
before my father died.
Wow.
But anyway, back to Uncle. My parents graduated from ASU in 1950, and then during the 1950s, my uncle became the owner-operator of an old bar and grill in Duncan. But he decided he wanted more out of life than that, so he enrolled in Western New Mexico University at 44 years of age. And he commuted 3 times a week, the 90 plus miles from Duncan Silver City, because he was living in Duncan at the time, and got his bachelor's degree in education in 1960. And then he started his teaching career as a 5th grade teacher at Duncan Elementary School. While I loved teaching, he wasn't sure that was his destiny. And so he enrolled in the Masters of Guidance and Counseling program at Western New Mexico University. And both my parents went with him, and they all three went to Western New Mexico and got their Masters in Guidance and Counseling. I didn't include my parents in that because I just focused on Uncle with the limited word space that he had.
Right.
And so after he got his master's degree, he was promoted to guidance counselor and government teacher at Duncan High School. And he also taught driver's ed, and he drove the school bus and several other things. And in small communities, the teachers do that.
Well known.
My high school had like 250 students and 48 my graduating class, and so it was a small school. But he found, that was his destiny.
That's
and
awesome.
touched the life of thousands of young men and women over the course of his 20 years there.
That's amazing. Well, I'm really looking forward to reading your chapter, and we feel like, this book is really, I would say this is a combination of love, legend, and legacy, because he certainly lived a colorful life, and he served our country and did some amazing things, and took care of your mom, made sure she had a good education. And I'm sure that it made a huge impact on your life.
It did.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Chris, it's really wonderful to get to meet you, and this video will go into the chapter at the end of the chapter,
Okay.
your chapter, and really look forward to reading it and getting to meet you someday.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, you have a wonderful rest of your day and take good care.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.